I'm alive again. I hope the audio is better this time because the last live stream, I had a ton of audio issues. So I checked some of my settings. I couldn't figure out why, like halfway to stream, my voice just suddenly dropped a few octaves, and it was like super low. So I hope that's okay this time. I have my iPad here. I'm going to check later when I see my live stream and I can actually see myself talking. Going to check if that's the case again. Usually it has something to do with my microphone, which I really shouldn't be touching right now. I hope I didn't mess anything up. Yeah, so I hope the sound is better. If it's not, please let me know in the chat, or if there's no people in the chat, I will check it out later. I also suddenly have a chat box on my screen, which is really nice. So I'm going to see later if there's any people live, but I have not really announced this because I was trying to figure out if I should go live, if I should do a video anyway, because of all the stuff that's been happening, especially over in the United States. And I was like, am I going to, add anything about art? Oh, there's Jess. Hi, Jess. Sounds great. Oh, that's good. I will not touch anything and hope the sound will continue to stay good. But thanks so much for letting me know, Jess. That's awesome. So yeah, I was doubting if I should even go live, and all the current events have affected me as well as somebody who was already kind of struggling with their mental health because of all the corona business and worries about work and the health of the people I work with and stuff like that. So I was not really feeling it. I was like, I usually try to be super positive and bring a lot of energy, and I was afraid I was not be able to do that. But I watched this great video just before it went live right now by Roberto Blake. It's in the description if all is going well, that you can watch. And he basically, he shares his own experience being a Black American, and he talks about, his own feelings about all of this, but also it's a really great video as an encouragement to creators to just keep creating. And it really, I wanted to do a series in June, like the entirety of June, of doing, talking about starting your comic. But after watching that video, I was like, I really want to contribute something else, and that is something I've been seeing not only now, but also during the whole corona crisis. I heard people talking about, especially artists, of I have so much trouble being productive, and I just don't feel like my art is contributing anything towards any good cause, and why am I even doing art and all of that stuff. I personally felt it as well, not only now, but in a few times. There's times in your life where it feels so trivial to do art, because it's usually something that you do because you think it's fun. I felt that too at times. Like, here I am just drawing things, and what does it matter in the grand scheme of things? And then suddenly, sometimes I'm hit by the notion of no, art's super important. There's stories, there's movies, there's books that literally, changed people's minds about things, help people through, bad periods, help people escape as well. And, some make super elaborate pieces of art and super, about super heavy subjects, and, they shed light on certain issues. And then that had me thinking for a while, am I saying anything with my art that's actually, helping? But then sometimes I'm reminded as well by people, there's a lot of funny comics, for example, I follow, and it's just, it's fun, but that's also valid. Sometimes people are going through such a hard time. They just want something funny. They just want that escape, or maybe it's the only time of day that they're actually laughing about something because their life is really tough right now. So, I follow people who make fart jokes in comics. That's always the example I go to, because what could be more like random than that? But then, if you make somebody laugh, why would that not be important? You can make something really heartwarming, and, that can give people a sense of hope. Or you can, make sure to have a variety in body shapes, for example, in your comic, that can really uplift people who don't see themselves in the media. And now, if we're talking about Black Lives Matter, so many stuff in regular media we see, it's, where are the black people? It's a chance for us, especially indie creators, of just showing the world, in all its variety, and not just what's been carefully curated. So even if you don't touch on some very important or heavy subject, you can still, even in your funny comics or in your lighthearted comics, you can show diversity. You can follow a lot of artists that are either black or they're part of another minority, and you hear their stories, and you become kind of sensitive to those issues as well. And we all bring our experiences in our art. So I think that art can really do that. Both educate and help people understand. I saw just the other day, I saw that was a comic that was made in a response to, like, Black Lives Matter that's a movement right now, and there's like this counter hashtag that people are posting about that says like all lives matter, and somebody made a comic about that, why that is not, that's not helpful to say that. And you might have seen it. It's a small little comic about, two houses, and one house is on fire, the other house is not on fire, and there's this random dude just spraying water on the house that's not on fire, and they're trying to say like, well, all houses matter, I don't want my house to catch fire. And it's like, yes, but the house next to you is on fire, and it was kind of to explain that Black Lives Matter is about, we know all lives matter, duh, but that's not how reality is playing out. We need the hashtag Black Lives Matter. So that comic really is trying to shed some light on it. And I actually saw people say like, I did not understand until I read this comic. And that's the power of art. Sometimes you just throw words at people, but if you give them an analogy, if you give them a story, if you give them images, that sometimes can make stuff click for people. So it's great for educating. And then there's the subtle things like showing diversity and showing, not just diversity in, all kinds of people from this planet, but also, body types or representation when it comes to, disability or LGBTQ people. So that's like, you don't even have to make your story about that specifically, even though those stories are incredibly needed, but just showing it, just showing the stuff that mainstream media usually isn't, that can really help. And then sometimes just the lighthearted stuff is really important. Like, I had a very tough time last year, and it's actually the anniversary of that this week, where I lost my little niece, and my sister lost her daughter, and it was incredibly painful, and it was such a nightmare of a time. And just what dragged me through that was literally watching BTS behind the scenes stuff and the games they do, like the K-pop band BTS. That dragged me through the summer last year. And, you know, you might think, well, it's just a bunch of artists goofing off or working really hard. But I know it was fun, it was inspiring, I loved seeing their friendship, and that just gave me a good feeling, you know, and that dragged me through the whole thing. And, you know, it's what Roberto Blake said in the video that I linked in the description. I encourage you to watch it. He said, like, I need to know that there's, behind all the craziness, there's still, you know, a world going on with positive things, you know, and I need you to create. I need you to keep continuing to create. I guess that's all I have to say about this. Like your stories matter, your art matters. And of course, especially the stories and the voices of those that are unheard. Like Black creators, your stories matter, your voices matter, just as much as your life matters. And it's super important that we keep looking and supporting you specifically. So I encourage my fellow white artists to actually go look up and follow hashtags like Drawing While Black or Black Creatives and that kind of stuff. And just make sure we are uplifting every single artist, not just really, you know, not just artists that look like you, basically. Like, not just a fellow white artist, but also, you know, minorities in general, and now especially, and later too, not just now, but, you know, also our Black fellow creatives, because they are often ignored by animation studios and stuff. But I don't want to start speaking for people. So, you know, listen to the stories that you hear right now, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people speaking out about the stuff they've experienced, you know, on Twitter and stuff. And that's why it's important that we keep sharing their stuff as well, especially if you have a big platform. I don't think I have a very big platform yet, but, you know, I'm trying to share other artists, and I think that's important. So just making the art, sharing other people's art, collaborating with artists, you know, following them. I don't know, that's all I had to say, I guess. I hope this made sense. I want to leave you with a story I picked up last year when I went to a Monet exhibition, and there was this pretty long period in which the Second World War was going on, or was it the first? Wait, yeah, it was the First World War. I'm confusing the two. It was the First World War, and that's such a horrible war. And Monet had been contemplating, like, what am I doing? I'm just sitting here in my garden painting flowers, you know? And, you know, I just had this really emotional journey through his art. I just love his art so much. And I was sitting there thinking, well, if we can have two things, which is a horrible war in which people needlessly died, or we can have such pretty art, you know, it's the pretty art that actually keeps having a lasting positive impact on people. You know, that's not to say that we shouldn't, you know, be fighting to end wars and stuff, because that's important. But, you know, he felt the same way about his art. And he had people he knew fighting in the war, and he was like, what am I doing? You know, I might be retired and stuff, but, you know, why am I painting? And I was like, but your paintings till today are still touching people. They still give people beauty, you know. That's really valuable. So that's what I wanted to leave you with. I know it's a short stream, but I wanted to take Roberto's advice and keep creating, even though, you know, I don't have much to say right now. I feel like I should, shut up for a while, let other people talk, and just focus on sharing and uplifting others. So it's tough, it's tough to say anything right now, but I hope it's at least helpful, and that you find value in that. I see that Jess is typing a lot in the chat. I'm gonna see if you have anything to add. Yes, and art helps to inform culture. Yes, definitely. Happy unicorns. we all need some happy unicorns right now. Yes. Thank you so much for engaging, Jess. It means a lot. Thanks so much for joining in, and keep drawing your happy unicorns. We need them. We need all the unicorns. Yes. So, and one other thing, like if you feel like your art doesn't contribute much, I've seen a ton of artists actually raise money for the Black Lives Matter causes, like the multiple funds you can donate to, like just selling screen what do you call that? Screen things for your phone screen. I forgot the word. I have a Dutch word in my head. Selling art. Selling art, and then donate the funds to the causes. That's something you can do, or just share. I've seen artists share their bigger platforms to share information and share useful links and stuff. So even outside of your art, you can use your platform, use your social media channels. That kind of stuff was another point I wanted to make. Wallpaper, thank you. Lock screen, wallpapers on lock screens. Yes, thank you. That was the word I was looking for. It can be as simple as that. Yeah. So keep creating. Watch the video by Roberto, because I think his story is incredibly important, and it was encouraging. So with that, I wish you a great day. Make some comics if you can. Also take real good care of yourself. Make sure your health is in order, your mental health. Just take care. That's what I wanted to say. Take care and have a good day, and somehow we'll get through this. And I hope for change. That's it. Have a great day, guys.